Hey guys, King of Charmander's here, and literally on the day of the Great League Remix, PV Poke is a Lord and Savior, and he decided to release the data for the top teams in Great League Remix. As you see here, they were updated today, so make sure you follow and or consider donating to pvpoke.com because the top 5 teams are available. Because Great League Remix is just out, if you're playing right now, I'm gonna short the intro, okay? And these are the top 5 teams on the Great League Remix. I'll be pushing the ABB teams and other content based on this analysis shortly, but here are the top 5 teams for the Great League Remix. Team number 5 has a very strong rating. As you see here, as I predicted, Registeel and Altaria are going to be really strong for the Great League Remix. I'm assuming for this team, the safe switch is going to be XL Medicham. XL Medicham is really safe everywhere, so I'm guessing that's where the safe... I'm pretty sure that's where the safe switch is. You don't want to safe switch Altaria because what happens is if you safe switch Altaria and you run into a Bastiodon or a Charmer, you are pretty screwed. So, as you see here, this team is very solid. A lot of bulk, a lot of damage, pretty safe, and a good coverage. Anything with Medicham XL and Registeel is going to be really, really good. Team has a very, very strong rating, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something and you have Registeel and Altaria. As you see here, this team does very well against the top meta picks. Again, Medicham XL is your safe switch, so if you happen to lose the lead with Registeel against things like Vigoroth, etc., what you can do is either force shields and then clean up with Medicham XL or Registeel, or again, use Medicham as a safe switch. This team is pretty safe against a lot of combinations. What you can do against Registeel is Registeel can just break shields, and then you can clean up again. You could clean up with Medicham XL Altaria, or just like Registeel is just very dominant in general. If you do win the lead with it, it's really strong against the Charmer archetype and the Flyer archetype. That's why you see all these X's when it comes to the Charmers, having a really low threat score. So this is a really good general team to use. Again, it's Registeel, Altaria, and Medicham XL as a safe switch with Ice Punch and Psychic. Team number 4 features Alola Ninetales, Toxicroak, and Vigoroth. So an ABB team made it into, well, it's not really quite ABB, but it's basically Alola Ninetales double fighter. As you see here, I'm assuming this is a Psyshock Alola Ninetales. I'm guessing you have Psyshock to take out Toxicroak, so that's a good reason for it. I think Dazzling Gleam works as well, but Charm A9 is a beast either way. And this happens to be a Charm A9. So, Charm A9 lead, Toxicroak, and Vigoroth. It makes sense to use Psyshock because the odds of you getting to a Dazzling Gleam with Charm A9 are pretty low. So you might as well have Psyshock because at least it has one-shot potential against Toxicroak. As you see here, Vigoroth is going to be a safe switch, and I think you close out with Toxicroak. Very safe and consistent just because you have Vigoroth as a back row. Also, fighters in general are very safe, but as you see here, not a lot of bulk, decent coverage. So, not a lot of bulk for the sheer purpose that Charm A9 and Toxicroak aren't... Actually, this entire team isn't super bulky. They're kind of bulky. The keyword is kind of. As you see here, this team basically relies on you saving shields for A9 and then just charming down in the back. It's very, very... Charm A9 is just a beast in this meta in general. As long as you avoid Bastiodon and Registeel, as you see here, you're going to do really good against a lot of top meta picks. Basically, just avoid the steel types, and even then, like things like Excavalier, you can 2-shield your way through Excavalier. You can also 2-shield your way through Vigoroth. Just make sure you switch out if you see Bastiodon or Registeel. But that's why you have double fighters. You see Bastiodon and double shield, you can wipe them out with Vigoroth and Toxicroak, and Alola Ninetales just cleans up with Charm. As you see here, this team's this team has a high threat score only for the purpose of that there's a lot of things that can kill double fighter. However, as you see here, Deoxys defense, Beedrill, Hypno, etc., you can 2-shield your way through a lot of these Pokemon. So, unless you encounter, like I said, well, Beedrill is actually a good point. If you don't encounter Beedrill, if you don't encounter Poison or Steel types in the lead, then you're gonna do pretty fine. A big problem is Beedrill, though, because Beedrill essentially resists your entire lineup. Not their charge moves, but it does resist Charm as well as Counter, so make sure you be careful of Beedrill. But other than that, this team is really, really solid, and I think it's really, really good for the Great League Remix. Team number 3 features Medicham XL lead, Alola Ninetales. I'm assuming Registeel is your safe switch. Well, either one of these can actually be your safe switch, but this team is actually very, very strong. It's a whole 7 points above the previous team, so this team is really solid. As you see here, Medicham XL is a monster in the lead. This time it uses not a Charm A9, but you're actually using a Powder Snow A9. So either I think Registeel is your safe switch, because you don't want to use you can use A9 as a safe switch, but again, Bastiodon and Registeel. As you see here, this team has a lot of bulk and a lot of consistency. You're going to do a ton of damage. Anything with Medicham XL and a Weather Baller and the Fabled Trash Can / Registeel, it's not really a trash can, I just call it a trash can, is really, really good. Good coverage, but good safety. So as you see here, if you go down, it has... Medicham XL is a beast, as it can run through Altaria in a 2-shield. There's a lot... As long as you don't see a Psychic type or a Ghost type in the lead, Medicham XL can run through so many things. So look, as you see here, the back row covers Medicham XL very well, and it's very, like I mentioned, as long as it's not it doesn't resist fighting like Sableye, Jellicent, or Charizard or Psychic type, you're gonna do pretty well. This team has a particularly high threat score. However, Medicham XL is such a beast that I can see why this team has done so well performance-wise, because all of these 3 Pokemon are super meta Pokemon, and as long as you avoid... Like I said, as long as you could avoid ghost types, or like pivot around ghost types in the lead, or fighters or flyers, basically anything that resists counter, this team's pretty good, and I think it'll do well for you in the Great League Remix as the number 3 most powerful team. And for team number 2, the second most powerful team for the Great League Remix. Remember how I said Medicham and Bastion are going to be really freaking good? Well, I was right. Bastion and Medicham do function. It's not the top team, but you know what? Number 2, it literally only, like, it's by, like, 0.3 points. That's how close this team is to the number 1 team. It's really freaking good. So if you like the Bastion Medicham core, guess what? It still works really well. And this features Sableye Safe Switch. So Bastiodon, Medicham XL, and a Sableye Safe Switch. I think Medicham is Sableye is still a fantastic Safe Switch. It does wonders against the Psychic archetype. You still do well against fighters. The only thing that sucks about Sableye is if you see Charmers or if you get locked into a normal type, because Shadow Cloud doesn't do big damage against a normal type. As you see here, this team is very solid. Great coverage, great safety, good bulk, and good consistency. Just because Bastion and Medicham are it's an amazing core. And arguably the most powerful core of Go Battle League right now, just because Medicham XL is a beast. As you see here, Bastiodon going Bastiodon. It is simple. If you lose lead against Bastiodon, you safe switch into Sableye, clean up with Medicham, and Bastiodon takes out the front row, either with shields or down shields. Bastiodon is so strong against its matchups like Alolan Ninetales, against Charmers, and against Altaria, it can win with shields down. That's the general strategy with Bastiodon. Leave Bastiodon and lock it into a super positive matchup so you could just literally tap or Stone Edge or Flamethrower down. That's how this team works. As you see here, team's pretty safe. Your biggest threat is going to be a Meganium, because Meganium is very thick and can actually run its way through Sableye just because Frenzy Plant's so powerful, and again, it's thick. However, other than that, you do very well against so many combinations with this team. The only thing that sucks is if you see a fighter in the lead. However, if you see a fighter in the lead, all you have to do is safe switch into Sableye, and then hopefully Sableye can take switch, take out the counter to Bastiodon, and Medicham and Bastiodon go to town. Again, still really good team. This features the most powerful core in Great League right now, and I think it will do really well. This features a return Sableye, as you see here, as well as an Ice Punch Psychic Medicham XL, so make sure you keep those movesets in mind. And now, the most powerful team for the Great League Remix at a whooping 560.9. It literally is only 0.3 away, but this team is amazing. And remember how I said Jellicent might be really good for the Great League Remix? Well, I was right. Jellicent is a monster for the Great League Remix. As you see here, Jellicent lead, Alolan Ninetales, and Vigoroth. Vigoroth is your safe switch, and it is a Charm A9 with Psyshock. Charm A9 with Psyshock makes sense because, like what I mentioned before, the chances of you getting to Dazzling Gleam are very off. So Psyshock it's okay. But Charm A9 in the back, Jellicent and Vigoroth are amazing, and this team does really good as far as safety and consistency. It's a very safe team. Vigoroth is a monster, Vigoroth can pressure shields with Bulldoze, etc., and Charm A9 is a boss with shields. Again, great consistency. This team's gonna do a ton of damage over time. Does really well against a lot of archetypes. The thing is with this Jellicent, as you see here, it is an Ice Beam Jellicent. So with Ice Beam Jellicent, if you catch Altaria in the lead, Ice Beam Jellicent actually has a very strong matchup against Altaria because it can get to Ice Beam really quickly. So if you Ice Beam in Altaria, it's going to suck for your opponent a lot. As you see here, you have Vigoroth for Registeel as an extra, or Bastion for an extra destroyer. If you see a Bastion still does well against Jellicent, but you can 2-shield your way through Bastion with Shadow Ball. So it's not super horrible against Bastion, but just because Jellicent's so thick, but as you see here, still very, very powerful. Now this team is very, very safe. If you see a Grass Lead like Meganium, again, safe switch and a Vigoroth, but this team is incredibly safe. Again, I think I went through this team before as far as like team building it, but Jellicent, Ninetales, and Vigoroth. Well, no, actually I used Powder Snow, not Charmtail, so I didn't. But as you see here, this team is really, really good. With your biggest weaknesses being Roserade, Regirock, Venusaur, just a lot of picks that aren't really going to be super popular. Of course, you're going to have to be careful. As you see here, Frostless A9 can give you a problem. You do have a Hex Jellicent, however, things that basically outpace you, like A9, Sableye in the lead, etc., give you a bit of a problem. However, this team is very, very powerful. As you see here, your top threats aren't going to be super common. So, this team has a 682 threat score. However, your biggest threats aren't super common. So, this team is really, really good. I really think this is a great team. I think this team will do well. I'm going to give this team a try because, honestly, I love how Jellicent is a super powerful anti-meta pick. And this is an Ice Beam Shadow Ball variation with a Charm A9 with Psyshock. And a Vigoroth safe switch. Again, super powerful team. I think it really does deserve a spot as the #1 most powerful team for the Great League Remix. And that's all, guys. I hope these teams really do give you a great idea. Again, all these teams are super powerful. I especially like the #1 team. I really think it's super powerful. I think it'll do really well, and I can't wait to try it out myself. But these teams are proven to help you climb ELO and hopefully get you to your goals of either, whatever that be, Veteran, Expert, or your climb to the Fabled Legend rank. Again, these teams are really good. I will be pushing more content out for the top teams as far as like ABB goes, etc. Again, this dropped today, so hopefully you get this information early enough so that you can start climbing or you find a really good team for the Great League Remix. Please like and subscribe. Again, I'll be pushing out the Great League. I'll be pushing out the analysis content as fast as I can, because again, this literally just dropped today. So, good luck on your Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.